Good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. And thank you, ICAP, for the opportunity to speak with uh, all of the auditors in attendance that are also in attendance online as well. Okay. So today I'm going to be sharing about the platform eConfirm.tk, so .Pakistan. Okay. As mentioned by Mr. President Farrell, as mentioned by Ms. Khurshid, it is a great honor that we are able to share this with everyone in Pakistan. We've been able to negotiate and talk with ICAP in terms of getting this platform out to the audience in Pakistan as well. A little bit about AppAsia. We are a public listed company in Malaysia, okay, and we specialize in developing digital platforms as well as IT security services. Now, according to ISA 505, it is mandatory for a company to get a CPA to perform an external audit report annually for their accounts, right? They are required to get a bank confirmation directly from the banks, not from the clients themselves. This process previously was done either through postage, fax, or emails. Now, introducing eConfirm. eConfirm is a platform that facilitates this process, right? We are a digital platform that facilitates this process between the audit firms as well as the financial institutions. Okay. The platform, as mentioned, was developed previously in 2018. It went live in 2020 and has been ongoing and has been improving through the past 5 years. It is now pretty much the number one platform in the Southeast Asian region that can actually facilitate this bank confirmation process through the digital format. Okay. Now, as mentioned, this platform has been in Malaysia, has been running in Malaysia for the past 5 years now. We have onboarded essentially all of the Malaysian commercial banks, as well as the Islamic banks, as well as some other financial institutions as well. And in Malaysia, we have basically 99% of all audit firms onboarded into the system and using the digital format to perform their bank confirmation processes. Now, we also have been working with our government auditor to facilitate their confirmations through our portal as well. Why was eConfirm implemented? Right? There has been some comments already in regards to why a confirmation is required. There has been comments about why the digital process is important, but these are essentially the four pillars that eConfirm has been built upon. Okay, we have security, we have authenticity, efficiency, and digitalization. Now, these four pillars were essentially why the platform was built up, why it was requested, and why the industry has been improving ever since the rollout of the entire platform. In the previous confirmation format, meaning in the manual confirmation format, you would not be able to know whether your confirmations were received by the recipient, whether the confirmation you received back were in fact genuine replies from financial institutions. You were not able to track your process. You weren't able to tell exactly when you would get your confirmation returned back to you as an audit or as an auditor, right? That is number one in our platform, eConfirm, security. We need to make sure that all of the secure details are in fact locked down correctly. We make sure transference of information is in fact secured properly on the platform as well. We also make sure that the users onboarded into the system are in fact genuine financial institution users or genuine audit firm users as well. Now, in terms of authenticity, we'll obviously be working with ICAP to make sure that all of the members are onboarded correctly. All of the members are, in fact, genuine members of ICAP. And on the other hand, are genuine users from financial institutions in Pakistan. Efficiency is also another important point in the digital process, right? So the digital process essentially is able to minimize a lot of time wastage, is able to minimize a lot of costs involved, including paper costs, printing costs, labor costs, as well as any logistical costs that may be running as you do bank confirmations throughout the year. Okay. And finally, digitalization. Digitalization as a global phenomenon is quite important. There are a lot of processes that were manual previously, which are now moving into a digital format. And that applies not just to the audit industry, not just to the banking industry, but across all the industries in the entire world. It is a point of focus that has been running for the past decade and a half. And this aligns perfectly with digitalization. Okay. Now, before we talk about eConfirm, some of the issues that we noticed as we were building out the platform, as we gathered information from the auditors in Malaysia, these were the issues that were frequently at the forefront of their problems that they encountered during the manual bank confirmation process. There were risks of fraud. There were risks of human errors. There was time wastage, logistics errors, communication problems. So if you didn't have communication directly with a financial institution, there were barriers on that perspective. Postage costs, paper costs, as well as very, very high human costs. These were all main issues that were brought to us, that were mentioned to us as we were developing our platform. These were all issues that actually, I'm sure you as auditors, as well as audit firms, you would be familiar with as you get these confirmations to your banks in the current manual format. Okay. With the implementation of eConfirm, this is the process that you are essentially looking at. Okay. eConfirm, we have simplified this process. We have eliminated a lot of things. Okay. We make the process between the audit firms on one side, as well as the financial institutions on the other side. Okay. It is a direct platform that facilitates this process between the audit firms as well as the banks. Now, the process itself is very, very straightforward. There are 5 steps in total. Okay. We begin on the left, where the audit firm or the auditor comes into the platform and begins or initiates the confirmation request. Okay. Now, in order to initiate the confirmation request, the auditor will need to go ahead and key in a few details of their client. Very straightforward. The client's company number, the client's company name, as well as essentially the partner involved in this engagement. Then they will go ahead and upload a few pieces of information or a few documents, right? Now, this document is the template, or it is the authorization that you are currently sending to the banks. Okay. Now, this authorization is from your client authorizing you as their auditor to request for a confirmation. Now, in this particular format, the template or the uploaded document will be adhering to the ATR 18. So all of the details are specified in the ATR 18, the requirements set out in the ATR 18 can be done in this particular attachment and then uploaded into the system, after which it will get sent over to the financial institution side. Okay. The financial institution will actually receive this document as well as the details of your request on their dashboards. They will verify through all of the attachments that have been sent through via the platform. They will make sure that the attachments are in fact correct. So in this instance, they may verify some signatures. They may verify that their client does exist in their platform, in their systems. Okay. Then they'll progress into step number 4. Step number 4 is the bank returning the bank confirmation reply with the client's requested account balances, facilities, any other aspects of their bank accounts or their statements that is required by the auditor. Okay. From there, it gets sent back to the audit firm or to the auditor. It will land on your dashboards as the auditor of your client. You can go ahead and download this attachment that the bank has replied, and then you can continue with your audit engagement. In the off chance that obviously the banks may have had an error where they may have missed out a bank account balance, they may have missed out another facility, or they've actually sent through an account that does not belong to your client, you can proceed to step number 6, which is where you request the bank to reprocess this item again. Okay, so the entire bank confirmation process, rather than going to your client, getting a document, sending it through the courier, then going to the bank and then getting the bank to reply to you, that previous process in the manual format in Malaysia, that took about 1 month to about 3 months in the manual format. Through eConfirm, from what we have seen in the past 5 years, this entire process from steps 1 to number 5 is now taking about 3 to 5 business days. Okay, that is the turnaround time or the speed of these confirmations currently through the system of eConfirm. Okay, now a few other benefits that are going to be highlighted through eConfirm. Okay, a quick comparison between the manual format as well as the digital format. The manual format, you have the likelihood of losing your documents, not knowing whether you're sending it correctly to the right people, a processing time of a couple of months at a time, or maybe a couple of weeks, depending on your familiarity with the bank, costs of paper, costs of printing, and communication errors as well. All of these are either reduced or reduced to zero from eConfirm. We make sure that all of the users are verified. We make sure you're able to tell exactly where your confirmation is at any point in its confirmation process timeline. There are two other things that the platform is able to provide, which is very, very crucial for audit firms as well as the banks. Okay. Number one is we provide audit trails, right? So audit trails, these are available or readily available on the platform. It allows users to actually see exactly what actions have been carried out by the audit firm members, exactly how this confirmation has progressed. And it's also able to tell you if there are movements in your audit firm um, that are not the correct movements. For example, if someone logs in and then logs out and then tries to change something else, you will have an audit trail for this type of action. We also provide consolidated reports. So how many times have you, as an auditor, ever asked either your staff members or your team members how many confirmations you have sent out in this particular engagement period? There will be times where in the previous format, in the manual format, where you wouldn't get a straight answer. You wouldn't be able to tell you exactly. We've had 10 order confirmations sent out and we've had 5 confirmations come back. We are still pending 5 confirmations. It would take a bit of time to get that type of report. Through eConfirm, through our digital platform, as soon as you ask that question, you're able to readily say exactly where your confirmations are, how many have been processed, how many are pending processing, and how many can actually proceed with their audit engagements. Very useful, right? eConfirm also considers the environment, right? So for us, the environment is also a very big part of why this digital processing is happening. Okay, as I mentioned, digitalization is very important for us. So on a rough estimate, for every 10 million confirmations, we're saving about 100 million sheets of paper at about 10 sheets of paper per confirmation. Okay, that essentially equates to 10,000 trees. Now that's a significant number of trees for that amount of confirmations. As we go year on year, as the digital format takes precedence, right? It is going to be more and more of the environment that we're saving through this digital form. Okay. We also consider, we also consider ESG. So we are looking after the environment. We are making sure that governance is actually covered through the platform as well. We make sure that risk management or risk itself is reduced. We're making sure that transparency between the auditors as well as the banks is there. There is governance. There is governance through the controls of our security, the controls set in place for the parties involved in the platform, and the controls set in place for us as the provider as well. Right? Social interaction, we're looking at borderless interaction later on. So between Pakistan and Malaysia, auditors in Malaysia requesting for a Pakistan client, that is something that we're looking at as well. So cross-border confirmations are going to be very important moving forward. It also makes it easier for everyone else as well. Okay. Now, there is another important aspect of the platform which I haven't touched on yet, which is the security as well as the IT security or the compliance that is in place for our platform. Without getting too technical, we deploy a proprietary end-to-end encryption technology. This technology actually is the core of how we make sure that your client's confidential information is in fact kept secure throughout its process in the entire platform. Okay, now, just very briefly, on the top of the diagram is the encryption process. So the encryption essentially is how we keep the document locked up. Okay, now the user or the person that is uploading a document, right, needs to have all four components in order to lock up their file. So what I mean by locking up the file is if an erroneous person were to get their hands on a file, they would not be able to open the contents and view the contents no matter how hard they tried. Okay. This document is basically completely secured. Okay. If it falls in the wrong hands, it will never be able to be opened unless the user has the bottom four components. Okay. Without these four components, the document will never be able to be opened. So that is how we encrypt, and that is how we decrypt this process. Now, this process happens between the sender and the recipient. So essentially yourselves as the sender and the receiver, which is the financial institution. This encryption process happens across the entire platform. So anytime a document is uploaded and sent over to the bank side, that is exactly what happens for the encryption. And when the banks are sending it back to you as the receiving party, this process also happens for the document that is sent back from the financial institution. Okay. Now, that encryption process, as well as a few other security controls that we have put in place, is actually certified, is actually vetted through and checked through via an independent auditor. Okay. Independent IT auditor. Okay, so the platform itself has SOC 2 as well as SOC 3, as well as the ISO 27001. These are all certifications that have been assessed as well as pushed out into a proper report. And this report essentially states that we have the necessary security controls, we adhere to these security controls, and we actually are able to ensure that what we say in terms of security, in terms of IT compliance, is being done via the platform. Okay. Now, you don't have to take my word for it. We have been rolling out this platform, or we have implemented this platform for over 5 years now. Okay. We have a few testimonials that I'll just have Ms. Farheen show. These are from existing users of the platform in Malaysia. They'll just briefly go through exactly what they're experiencing on the platform and how they've enjoyed the platform so far. Okay.
We send out bank confirmation annually, which is part of our routine audit procedure to be performed. Manual bank confirmation has always been time-consuming and inefficient. It normally takes up to 4 to 8 weeks or maybe even more in order for bank to reply us with the original hard copy bank confirmation. So it doesn't help to cut down time in terms of the audit execution. But with eConfirm, now bank confirmation request is being sent via online platform, and we are able to see the audit status immediately from time to time on a real-time basis. So from there, we can actually track what is the status of the bank request, and we will be able to immediately update and receive if the bank reply us with the bank confirmation. Furthermore, manual confirmations are susceptible to the risk of manipulation prior to our possession. Having eConfirm there, meaning there's a bridge between the auditors and the registered bank from one end to another end in requesting the manual confirmations. and thus it will reduce the risk of fraud. Overall, the reduced turnaround time, the reduced risk of fraud, as well as the improved audit efficiency better the entire audit execution and audit process.
Automation is an important area of focus for Baker Tilly given our size. Our global cloud software and data analytics platform proved to be invaluable during the pandemic, allowing us to bridge the evidence collection gap with the clients. This electronic bank confirmation platform is another important link that will help external parties, especially the banks and the auditors, bridge another evidence gaps. This platform complements our target to substantially automate our audit process. Automating the bank confirmation securitization process has helped to improve the efficiency of our audits and our bank confirmations process for participating banks. Particularly, the turnaround time is much shorter as compared to the manual securitization process, as it saves the time and effort taken to locate the bank's person in charge. Hence, more time can be allocated for other audit procedures. It also reduces the risk of loss in transit and misallocation of original confirmations.
All right, thank you very much. So that actually brings me to the very near of the end of my presentation. Oops, apologies. Okay, so if you wanted to find out more information about the platform, okay, feel free to visit econfirm.pk. There is a registration form there as well. If you want to register your interest, I'm more than happy to explain if there are questions. And hopefully, as we move into the new year next year, we can look at having econfirm.pk roll out for everyone and work with ICAP to make sure that the platform goes smoothly and everyone is able to do bank confirmations online. Thank you.